All right. We are starting to record officially. Good morning, everyone. Sunday, March 26th. Appreciate you being here. Just a quick note. I'm just going to start with this. I think I've talked about this before, but I just want to share this with all of you. So if you have whether you have what I call the entrepreneurial brain, which means you just have a lot of stuff going on in your life. And sometimes it's hard to keep it all in one place. There's a great app that I've been using called Motion, Motion. And it uses artificial intelligence to help you with your appointment setting and manage your time. And so what it does is and you put in a task and you put in whether there's a hard deadline or a soft deadline, the priority that it is, that where you want to work it in. So do you work it in with work hours? Like, it's really awesome. And then if you don't complete it, it moves it to the next space on your calendar for you. Right. And so then if you miss the deadline, it comes up and it gives you just a little alert that you've missed some deadline. And there's a couple of things that you need to resolve. And so I've been kind of playing around with it because I have lots of tasks, and I'm actually, Janice and I were just talking, I'm still kind of a paper girl. So lots of times I'll do a brain dump on my paper. And with my neurodivergent brain, I know where my paper is-ish, like it's on my desk. The challenge sometimes with a neurodivergent brain, though, is if you can't see it, then you forget about it. Like, it's literally like gone from your brain until you like find the sticky note or find the article of clothing that you tucked away in an unusual place. So it's in your brain. It's easier if it's like left lying around. And then the challenge of that, though, is then when your workspace gets too crowded, then probably any brain, but the neurodivergent brain then goes into overwhelm. And so what I still use a piece of paper for my brain dump. And then what I do is I move the tasks over into Motion, and then it tells me where it goes. And I was quite concerned about using it because there's one area of my life where I'm that control part of me gets a little bit OCD-ish, which is with my calendar, right? Like, I need to like have everything where I want it. So I had to let go of, okay, maybe I could trust the AI a little bit and it could help me, manage. It's something it's managed on time, but it was really to remove the overwhelm from the paper not being where I thought I left it. And it happens to be under, 10 other pieces of paper that are just as important as that. So what I'm using one of the ways I'm using artificial intelligence is for things like that. So I think there's a free week. It's $24.95 or $34.90. I think it's $24.95 US a month, right? It's not an inexpensive app. You can get it on an app though, and get it on your desktop, and then you sync your calendar to it. So far, I'm loving it, and I don't even think I know the full capabilities, because you can have projects in there. You can use it for project management tool, tasks in there, appointments can go through there. And then you can also, if you have Calendly or Time Map, you can actually have your different appointments in there as well. So if you are investing in Calendly or Time Map, you can move that investment over. So I haven't quite done that yet because I'm still trying to figure out one of the technology pieces of it, but it so far, really, really happy with it. So I just wanted to share that with my entrepreneurial friends. So thank you. Yeah, Karen just said, yeah, I was joking yesterday that I need a note to remind me, look at my book with my lists. Yes, right. And it's interesting, right? Because the more and more I do research on a neurodivergent brain, so I'm in awareness of all those little quirks, right? That I have. And I think just sharing with all of you, so some of the growing up as a, and my mom is my mom's house is like a place, everything has a place, and there's a place for everything. And so just not being able to actually do that. And my mom used to say to me, I don't understand why you can't do this. And I remember being a kid saying, and I was young, like, I mean, like 14, 15, saying to my mom, it's probably the only time I swore at my mom when I was under 18 was, if I fucking knew how to do it, I would. And I know it's really simple for you, but it's actually not that simple for me. I don't know why, but yes, you are correct. I can walk away, make myself a peanut butter and jam sandwich and forget to put the peanut butter and jam. And I can walk by the peanut butter and jam jars all day until you come home and I go, oh, look at mom just walked by the peanut butter and jar jam, side. And then I'd be like, oh, the peanut butter and jar jam is out. And it's those little things like that where if you have an entrepreneurial brain, because I think you don't necessarily have to have a neurodivergent brain, although my opinion is a lot of entrepreneurs have a neurodivergent brain, whether it's ADHD or not, and we just think a little bit differently, right? And we're always like moving like this. So Motion is the app. Check it out, and take advantage of their free. It's a 7-day free trial, but I think you'll know in 7 days. And yeah, what I like is I don't have to move anything. Like I don't have to figure anything out, right? I just do my brain dump on Sunday, and then it moves the calendar out. The other thing it showed me was that I've been feeling kind of like there wasn't a lot of time and space in my life. And I was trying to figure out what needed to move, like where my schedule needed to move, where was it getting really heavy, where was it out of harmony, meaning life between life and work. And so when I put everything, because I put everything in there, I clearly saw that there was a reason why I was feeling like there was no time, because there wasn't, right? Like every like 12 to 13 hours a day was dedicated to doing tasks. Then that gave me the opportunity to sit back and go, okay, really, what can I let go of? Meaning, who do I need to hire, right? What do I need to do? What does that look like? And what else can I then take some of these things even and like, so for example, I'm ordering HelloFresh food. I like to cook if the recipes are really clear. I'm not really a big fan of grocery shopping. I like being out with people, but it's like time. It's like an hour out of my day or an hour and a half out of my day, or so and then I walk around because I haven't meal prepped since bodybuilding. So yeah, so it's just like, how could I make this easier, right? So I ordered HelloFresh for 3 days. I order a meal for 4, so that actually gives us 5 or 6 days, or myself lunches, right? So just things like that. I think it's a great opportunity because you can see, that, oh yeah, I am full, or you can see, oh look at, I'm not. Like I have a friend, she said, I don't know what I do with my day. And then afterwards I said to her, like, are you putting like everything in there? Like, are you putting, like, if you're not doing the things, are you putting what you're doing? And she said no. And then she came back and she goes, oh my God, Ranchel. She said, do you know how many hours a week I could play Candy Crush? And I was like, no, but I'm assuming more than what you realized. And she said, yeah, because every time she played it, she put in there. And then she was like playing Candy Crush 6 hours a week. Right? And then she said, Tasha, I thought about you. And then she said, oh, like what do I do with this? And so we talked about, removing Candy Crush from the phone is one way you can manage Candy Crush, right? Because it's gamified, and it's actually designed to be addictive. That's the whole point of Candy Crush. So, all right. So just a side note there. We're going to dive back more into some business, both mindset and strategies around business today. And so one of them is, I've talked about this before, but I'm just going to bring it back. So if we can accept that our brain is a goal achieving machine, and everything we decide that we want to create and manifest must happen, and I say must happen because your reticular activating system kicks in once you make a decision, and your RAS starts to look for ways and means for you to create and manifest the thing. It's not always clear cut, right? Sometimes it comes as an opportunity. Sometimes it comes as an opportunity with an obstacle, like, oh, I want to take this great course, and that means I need to invest the money, and I look at my bank account and there's doesn't seem to be the funds there. And so then we go into, our brain goes into, well, how can I make the money for the course? So then we go into action. And then, because we're asking our brain, how can I make money? Your brain goes back into all the ways and means that you know how to make money to buy something. And guess what? If your brain that's wired currently as it's wired right now knew how to make more money, you would already have made the money. Right? Does that make sense? So if you're asking, well, how do I do that? You're asking your brain doesn't know because it's going into the past, and and you're asking action questions, right? So what really drives that how to make money are your beliefs. Your beliefs about you, your beliefs about your life, your beliefs about your business, your beliefs about your family, your beliefs around money, your beliefs around sales, marketing, operations, all of those kinds of things. So if you're wanting to make more money, and I say that in air quotes because those of you who've been with me for a while know that we actually don't make money, and we'll save that for another day. We don't make money. Money is looking for you, just like you're searching for money. So if we can just let go of we don't make money, that's actually a story to keep you stuck. And we can look at our beliefs. So our beliefs dictate our destiny. Our beliefs are just decisions that were made when we were younger, with so much evidence to prove that it was true, right? So an example would be my own life. I'm a great starter, but I'm not a great finisher, which is not true. That's actually a lie. But I grew up with that. So if I believe that I'm a great starter, but I'm not a great finisher, does it not make sense that I would be hesitant to, how do I make more money for this thing? Because at an unconscious level, I would believe that I wouldn't be able to finish it. I wouldn't be able to finish the thing, and I wouldn't be able to finish whatever it was that I started, which then tied to, I'm afraid of running out of money. The fear of, or the belief that I run out of money. I'm not good with money. So we always move into action, which is, how am I going to make more money? And that's where we need to, no, it's not about how to make more money, because that's a lie. And even if you don't know why that's a lie, if you can just for the moment accept that, that's a bullshit story. And not move into action. So you need to go back into the belief. What beliefs do you have? Another way to word this are, what are the rules that you have about your life? So what rules do you have? And so today I want you to be a rule breaker. I want you to take some of the essence of Ranchel and be a rebel. And so today you're going to tap into my rebelness, my rebel likeness, and you're going to I welcome you to look at every rule that you have about your life and write it down. And then we're going to break all of the rules, every single rule. So for example, when I had the curves, I used to have women who were my age and in menopause and had menopausal bellies, and would say, well, that's just what happens, right? You have so I'm going to be kind of explicit, everyone. You have a dry vagina, right? When you have menopause, that's normal. What if it wasn't? Right? When you get older, you start to age. Your skin has to age, right? Your necks, you can get your wrinkles in your neck or whatever. But what if that wasn't true? What rules do you have around aging? What rules do you have around food? What rules do you have about sex? What rules do you have about business? Because these are beliefs. Your rules are beliefs, right? So if I change the word and you go, well, I don't know what beliefs I have, I bet you could tell me all your rules, right? What rules do you have about family? What rules do you have about being nice or being kind? What rules do you have about conflict, right? What rules do you have about everything? Aging, relationships, love, right? Money. What rules do you have around spirituality, religion, science, your intelligence, Like I'm talking every single rule that you have, I'd like you to look at, right? Rules about we're supposed to be tired after work, rules that we're supposed to love what we do all the time, rules that if we don't like it, we don't have to do it. It's a rule, it's a belief. If I don't, I'm an adult. If I don't want to, I don't have to, right? That's true. But what if that was the one thing that was preventing you from building the business that you wanted, right? And we don't know that. I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying that's a rule that you have. Rules about being comfortable or being uncomfortable. Rules about, I don't resonate with that, right? Which is, it's a rule. It's not a bad or good. So I'm not saying like a bad or good rule. I'm just saying, what are your rules? What rules do you have in your life? Because then I want you to take a look at those rules and ask, first of all, number one, did you write those rules? Like, did you make the decision about that rule? Or was that a rule that was passed on, to, from your family or your families, like your generations of rules, right? And then, so if you didn't write the rule, are you willing to write a new rule? Can you have a new rule? Can you write one? And then if you can write one, and some of them you going to think, no, I have to, that has to be a rule, right? Like, for example, family's number one. That can be a lot of people's rules, right? So if that's your rule, then, and if you're not willing to write it, that's, again, there's no judgment in that. Just, but be aware that's a rule that you have. And how's that affecting your business, right? So if you believe that, or your rule, so I'm going to use both of those words, that you're responsible for your parents, right? Health and wellness, and that's a rule that you have, then, and know that you have that rule, then how is that affecting your life and your business? Again, it's not a bad or good rule, but it is a rule that you have. And so if you're having to make a choice, and it's a choice, so it moves into a choice, right? So, because I'll hear from people, and no one on here, so I have to do this with my parents, and then there'll be resentment. I will say to them, no, you don't have to, you're choosing to. Well, they're my parents. Yes, they are, and they're adults, and they made their own decisions to get to where they are going, and so you don't have to, you're making a decision. Because a have to is victim, a decision, a choice is empowered. I'm making the decision to support my parents in da 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 da, right? And so, yes, and I have to get to. Anne says, my friend changes have to get to. Exactly, right? I know I've heard Tracy say that too. I get to do this, right? And so those are rules, right? And so what rules are serving you and what rules aren't serving you? Are you willing to change the rules that aren't serving you? And if you're not willing to, able to, I'll use that word, but I think willing to puts you in a stronger position. If you're not willing to, then move it from, can it be a get to, not a have to, right? And so then tied with that, though, is your rules for success. So what rules do you have for either life success, anything in life, or business success? So what rules do you have? Meaning, do you have to work Monday to Friday, 8 to 5 to be successful? Or do you have to work 7 days a week to be successful? Do you have to work, 10 hours a day? Do you have to sacrifice your health and wellness? Like, what are your rules? And then go back to, are those your rules, or are those rules that were passed down, from your childhood, right? One of the rules that my dad used to say is you have to keep your eye on the puck all the time, Ranchelle. If you don't keep your eye on the puck and stick handle what's going on, then you won't have success. But an eye and a puck for me, with my personality, was micromanaging, which didn't bode well for anybody, because then my neurodivergent brain can't sustain micromanaging for very long. So then I set my business up to micromanage, but then couldn't sustain it, right? So then there's less success, right? In my head, there was less success because I couldn't keep my eye on the ball, on the puck, right? So what kinds of rules like that are hanging around with you, right? And again, sometimes it's easier if the word belief is easier for you to do the exercise, then use the word belief, because then we're going to change. We're going to change the rules. And here's what happens when you have a rule. If you decide in business that you want to do something, right? You want to build a part of your business, or you want to get out there and promote what you're doing, but you have rules around. So here's an example. I was taught to be humble, don't brag, right? Don't talk about what you're doing, and just be really humble and be a good listener. So those rules were in place. And then all of a sudden now I'm going to build a business. And what do you have to do when you're building a business? You have to talk about yourself. You can talk about what you're doing. You need to promote maybe some of the services that you do, right? Or promote some of your products, right? You need to share your story with people. And so it's difficult then to get out there and talk about what you're doing or who you are if one of your rules that you grew up with was children are seen and not heard. That's one. Don't brag. No one likes a braggart. Be humble. People don't need to know what you're doing. It's no one's business. Right? My mom and dad were very secretive. Then that's, and again, my mom and dad did not mean truly, because they were entrepreneurs, truly did not mean, not talk about your business. But a 6-year-old doesn't know that. And so those beliefs, right, are solidified at an unconscious level, and then you're playing them out. So then you want to do a strategy and you have these rules. So this is why breaking the rules and understanding all your rules is so important, because if your belief is, or your rule was, so I had a belief which was, I'm not good enough, right? And the belief I'm not good enough was attached to the rule, right? To the rules. Well, then I don't do things right. Well, then why would I start? Right? Or the other side of that is, if I believe that I'm a good starter and not a good finisher, I would start lots of things and I wouldn't finish any. I wouldn't. And I did finish them, but in my head I was like, I'll just start it. It's no big deal. They already believe I can't finish this, right? So then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? So that's why if we just throw out all these rules that we grew up with, and all the rules you heard from your gurus and your coaches and your guides, right? Because that might be our rule, right? That might be our ritual. Karen and I were talking about this yesterday, is that there's certain rituals, certain rules that energy workers and healers follow, right? And we thought, what if that actually ties you into a lower density energy that, or let me reword that, an energy that you were at one time, but you're no longer there, but it ties you to this energy, which might be at a lower density. I'm not saying that it is, but it might be, right? So what kinds of things is it time for you to let go of, right? Because once you, if you're following the same rules and you go into the strategy, what happens is, because your brain's a goal achieving machine, it will start to have you experience your past rules, your past beliefs. You'll bring those into your current structure and strategies. And we want to, because the brain's a goal achieving machine, we want to not do that. So some of the questions we can ask, rather than how do I do that or how do I make money, is what else is possible, right? Asking, show me the way, show me the steps. Now you can be asking like divine, but you also, when you say show me the way, you're also asking your intellect, your brain, your reticular activating system will start to find the ways and means, because your brain is a goal achieving machine. It has to, right? It's why when you ask somebody a question or someone asks you a question, you feel compelled to answer it, right? And so I joke around. So in Sobeys here, they now, you can have a scene card, right, which is attached to the Cineplex Odeon, right, theater. So you can have a scene card for points for groceries. And so I was there the other day, and the lady said to me, do you have a scene card? And I went to say no, but that's not true. I have a scene card. It was just in my car. And because I don't have a value of not lying, right? Then I go into this long explanation. No, well, yes, I do, but it's not with me. And then I start to laugh because this person doesn't care. What they're asking, they're not asking if I have a scene card. What they're really asking me is, do you have your scene card with you? Right? And so she said, you'd be surprised how often people do say that. And I said, well, it's because the way you're asking the question. If you want just a simpler answer, just say, do you have your scene card with you? And then they'll say yes or no. And if they don't have a scene card, they will say, I don't have a scene card by that question. So she's going to take that to her manager, and they're going to take it to the district because they hear that long asked explanation all around, right? So that's how important questions are, right? So if you change the way that you're asking your questions, then your brain will work in your favor, right? And so it's kind of like when we talk about, I'll bring in this last little piece of the perpetual transmutation of energy, and which is a universal, it's a sub-law. So what does that mean? Well, really, energy just is. We don't actually create energy, we don't destroy energy, right? And so because energy just is, we actually take energy from non-form into form. And I know some of you have heard me talk about that before. So we take something from non-form into form. And the idea, the concept, is that everything that we will ever need, anything that could ever be created on Earth, is in the formless substance. Every single idea. So when the iPhone first came out, or the personal computer first came out, or the oh my goodness, rocket ships, or the concept of steam engines, vehicles, right, like Ford, the light bulb, anything that was like kind of out of the box. I thinking at the time, the thoughts that the Earth is proof that Earth is round and not flat, or if you're a flat person, aligner, then the proof that the Earth is flat and not round. I mean, whatever your belief system is, which is then, but everything is out there, so we all have access to it, right? So it's not that it's exclusive. So like Elon Musk's, wherever his brilliance lies, or Virgin Airlines guy, Sir Richard Branson, or Oprah Winfrey's, or Gandhi's, or like Steve Jobs, or I mean, pick anyone that's invented something. It's all there for all of us, right? Which is why people come up with the similar or same ideas at the same time, because it's ready to be birthed. That's the theory, right? The idea is given to many people at once, like thousands of people at once, because there'll be a group of individuals who will say yes, right? So if we know that we don't have the pressure of trying to create something out of the blue, we just have to open to the possibilities that it's already there in formless substance. We just want to access the energy of the creation of the thing. We could just open ourselves up to, well, what else is possible? Right? One of my mentors, she asks the question, what does my business want to create today? What does my business want to create? Which I love that question, because that our businesses have their own energy to it, right? What does my business, what does my profession, what does my body crave today, right? What does my heart crave today? What does my heart want? What does my brain want? I mean, we could just have so much fun with that versus what do I need to do? Because we're doers here. And what we're learning to, I think, be open to the possibility of being first, and then we can be guided to what do we need to, who do we need to be to have and to do more, right? And so it all starts with this, right? So I guess the thought to the end of the day is to pause. And I wrote it years ago, wrote this down. The mistake that humans make is they try to manage their change through actions and not through their beliefs, not through the rules. The rules, right? The beliefs are the linchpin. So think about your rules today. And if you want to share them, you share them. I'd love to hear what your rules are. And moving forward, then guiding you through how do we rewire those or remake or throw those rules away. Which rule needs to be thrown away, right? And there might be a few. There might be a few rules that you can let go of, especially when you see that they're not yours. And you're like, ooh, that's an interesting, right? That's an interesting rule. It's like my mother-in-law saved all of the saran wrap from everything, right? She had boxes of used saran wrap, because you never know when you're going to need saran wrap, right? Her family grew up in the 30s, right? So they reused and saved everything. And she literally has literally boxes of saran wrap in her basement, just in case, right? Just in case. And for her, it's a safety mechanism, right? She's a hoarder. So it's a safety mechanism for her. All right, have an incredible Sunday. Mwah. Big hugs to all of you. Love you very much. Thanks for joining me here on Sunday. And Sherry, do you want to we can just stay on this line? We don't need to switch. Thanks, everyone. Mwah.